Now it's time to head back over to our virtual studio where Sarah is joined by one of my favourite Marcuses. It's Marcus Saunders.
Thanks very much, Ben. It's one of my favourite Marcuses as well. Yeah, super excited to be joined in the virtual classroom for this session by Marcus Saunders, Associate Director, Technical Resource, Stratford Design Delivery. Marcus, welcome.
Thank you. Fantastic to be here at ISE.
I'm really looking forward to this session. We've only got 5 minutes, but we are going to get schooled. So our first segment is on why IPMX and why now. So we are starting to see a move away from traditional AV infrastructure to IP-based video, where content moves over the network rather than dedicated video cables. Now we've seen standards like SIMPSI 2110 for high-end broadcast, and obviously NDI that you have vast experience in your own project work. But IPMX is pushing a different approach. So what's the big advantage of IPMX and why is it relevant right now?
Thanks, Sarah. That's a great question. I think as you walk the halls here at ISE, you are absolutely surrounded by AV over IP solutions. And that's a really good indication that that transition to moving audio and video over institution and businesses' core networks has really happened, and that's fantastic. However, that broadcast bit, it goes back 10 years, used at the Olympics in 2012. The robustness of that isn't always there in those enterprise type solutions for AV over IP systems, but more importantly, the interoperability isn't there. So why now is that IPMX is really the first time we've got those broadcast standards and the robustness there, but for the AV world. That's
incredibly exciting, right?
It is.
So, and a key part of the IPMX standard is, as you said, it's this open approach, and that's why that's important, especially in an industry where proprietary ecosystems have traditionally dominated, right?
So I think if you just flip to the next slide, actually, the best way to describe this is that the HDMI cable, the humble HDMI cable that you can go and pick up from any corner store anywhere in the world, is actually a brilliant example of interoperability. So you can pretty much guarantee you can come here and just plug your cable in and you'll be able to go. And that hasn't really existed in the IP world. So this is the first time that you can really say, I can guarantee that I can take a manufacturer, different manufacturers' boxes, and just with an Ethernet cable have that same experience of plugging something into the structured cable, plugging another device into the structured cable, and getting that same experience as an HDMI lead.
Love the props as well.
I came prepared.
Did you? And one of the challenges we hear from AV professionals, our colleagues around us, is that transitioning to the network-based workflow without needing full broadcast engineering team or expensive infrastructure. How does IPMX solve that problem?
Yeah, I mean, it's the advantage is that you can scale it, so you can do all of that complex stuff. So actually, if we flip to the next slide, you can have a really simple space like this. And that won't really rely on any of those complex things like PTP. At the beginning of this slide deck, we had a whole umbrella of terms, and they're really quite complicated and hard to get your head around. It's a bit of a learning journey, but the nice thing about IPMX is you can say, all right, it can be the same as an HDMI lead, or if you flip onto the next slide, you can take it all the way up to a virtual production studio. You can have, literally that's 19 meters of LED, and you can drive that with the same standards that you'd be using for broadcast, but with very simple to use systems, and systems that don't necessarily need all of that really expensive infrastructure or that engineering knowledge. So it's really a game changer from that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely, sounds like it. And giving your experience of someone planning new studios such as what we've just seen, or an AV deployment, what should they think about today to future-proof their setup with IPMX?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just start to play, because I think, like anything, if you look around ISE, there are lots of solutions, but this is really about a change in the way you think philosophically about building your systems. So you can start with these free tools. So Interpix have Titanium Show, they're offering free licenses for the show at the moment, so you can get 2 laptops, you can run the show on one bit and the viewer on another laptop, and you can start playing with IPMX. You don't need an expensive set of systems to begin. And then I think from there you'll start to see the benefits. Perhaps after that, I put a couple of slides with some resources on. the first one is an amazing sheet that shows all the free resources that you can start to build this little thing called a discovery server. So it doesn't matter where you are in your building, you can plug one of these IPMX boxes in and find the other IPMX boxes. And all of that stuff's free, and there's really good guidance as well. So start there, and then maybe when you're building your next larger project at building scale, you'll start to think, actually, IPMX might be the solution for me.
Oh wow, I mean, thank you so much, not only for joining us, sharing your knowledge, but for also sharing these resources where other people can carry on their learning.
You're welcome. Thanks, Sarah.
Marcus, thanks so much for joining us.